Back in the mid 1970s, I just broke up with my girlfriend at that time, and I decided that I should get out of the house. And they had this thing called the Jazz Loft going on in New York, or Jazz Lofts, where you could go and mostly in SOHO and sit and listen to really good jazz music. And it was in people's lofts. It, you paid a minimal fee to get in, like $3 or something, and you could sit on the floor or in chairs they had, um, and listen to this music. There wasn't any drinks or things like that going on. So I did that. I went out. I went down into Soho, and there's different places, in Byron, Ladies Fort, Studio Rivby, and had a binder that I put really cheap ledger paper, which is smooth and, as you can see, is kind of yellows. All these years later, it's in pretty bad shape. And I do these drawings um, with the black ballpoint pen, and it was a great experience because when I work, make art, I always listen to jazz and mostly saxophones. So, and I play the saxophone, so that's the primary incentive. And I know of these people. This one, for example, is Julius Hempel, one of the founders of the, if not the main founder of the World Saxophone Quartet, an incredible alto player as well as a composer. And these are his different places he would be in, different looks too. Here he is, very formal looking. Um, and so I just felt like I was connected in jamming myself with him. And it was, I don't know how, sometimes people thought I was a music critic because it looked like I was writing all the time in this big black book. Um, but I was drawing. And when they stopped their performing, whatever solo, whatever it was they were doing, I would stop the drawing. I wouldn't enhance it, go home and do some more to it. So these are the exact on the spot efforts. And there are many more. This is a small cross section. I did it from, say, 1975 to 1979. Um, this is Russell Prokop, who was I played with Duke Ellington, and he played alto with Duke Ellington, and I liked him. And I went. And this was actually in a club, not a not a jazz loft, called Gregory's uptown on the east side, and this was a lot of fun too. I mean, and I was lots of times if I had the opportunity, I would show them the performer, the jazz musician, the drawing later, and talk to him. And I did that with Russell Prokop, um, and he was very nice man. I enjoyed being able to talk to him like that. So it was also an entree for a short discussion, or be able to compliment them. Um, Sometimes these were very strange places. I never found they didn't have another occasion. Like this one was somewhere on Second Avenue down in the East Village, near the East Village. It was in the afternoon, and I remember this one, or I remember because I look at the sketch. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a clue that this sax player didn't wear shoes. You know, I mean, it's an indoor environment, so what? No need to, and very informal, as obvious. This is sort of post hippie time. I mean, it's pre-punk or near the punk time, but for jazz musicians, it's all that's meant to be, not reflecting the popular culture necessarily. So this drawing shows that, emphasizes his not having any shoes on. A group called Survival, I guess. Most of them weren't called anything. They were usually solo performers anyway, but this actually was like, I guess, 3 or 4 people. Uh, One of my few non-sax people here is a guy by the name of Bill Parker there, but now he's known as William Parker, and a great bassist, and he's played with a lot of people I like, and in his own group too. Like Jamil Mundak, one of my favorite alto players, and Rob Brown, he plays with him, and he's known as William Parker now, as I think I said. Especially known for his arco bow playing. I'm not a big fan of drums as the rhythm section. Bass is perfect. This is no competition at all. This was also one of those places you'd find them in the back of the Village Voice back then. Things that were for free or for under $1 or for under $3, things like that, or under $5, for free or under $5. And there'd be something every week, and I look at that. This is Arthur Blythe, who was known then as Black Arthur Blythe. I don't know why they labeled him that, or he labeled himself that, obviously, because that was how his name was presented, in a place that was very near me here. And again, I didn't see another occasion to go back there, so it was a one-stop shopping here with this guy, and he was great. He came over to the table. I asked him to come over to the table. There actually were tables here, and when he played, he played long sets and he didn't move. So it was perfect for me to spend that amount of time on him. We talked about his saxophone. I think he had a Kahn, which was unusual. Most people had a Selmer. And I like the sound of the Kahn saxophone. I have one myself. I have a Selmer too, and I play that mostly, but the Kahn's got a very different sound to it. I'm totally self-taught in regard to my status. I'm ineducable, which is pretty bizarre considering I'm a college teacher, instructor. I can teach, but I can't be taught. This was very I don't know, a very warm feeling with this one. I think Studio Rivby. I'm not sure which. Can't see the letters on this one. A person who's called Dr. Andrew White, who was an expert on John Coltrane, written things about him and stuff like that. But I just love this look with the pants that are really short. It kind of has a sincere quality to him. He's a good player too. I enjoyed that, but not one of my favorites. I think of all the people I've drawn so far in this group, Julius Hempel was my favorite. This is Hal McIntyre, and the one time I did get lessons, Ken McIntyre. Hal McIntyre was from the 40s, also a sax player, but nothing compared to Ken McIntyre, who played with Eric Dolphy, and very good player and composer. While I was drawing him, one of his students came up and asked to see the drawing, and I was really interested in the fact that he had students, and so I asked him. I went to Ken and showed him my drawings, and I asked him if he would take me on as a student. He said yes, and so I went out to Long Island and had one lesson with him, and I mean, he was great. I mean, I realized I could not learn from, I don't know, it sort of ruined my playing trying to learn. So I stopped it. I went back one more time and that was it. Um, this is Jimmy Jufrey. Uh, he kind of shares or shared, I was told, my views on jazz drumming as the primary rhythm driver, and he wrote a lot of things for his music that used the trombone and other instruments as a means of percussion and rhythm driving. Um, this is someone from the mid 40s, like the Bird era, Ernie Wilkins, um, at the Village Vanguard. I did go to real places, you know, that were meant for that, for jazz, not just jazz lofts, but mostly it was jazz lofts, you know, that were not, and the audiences were great. I mean, they're very, I mean, you'd see some people over and over again, but mostly they were really wonderful. Cecil Payne, great baritone player, also from the Bird era. I don't remember who this was. I mean, there's nothing written down, but I like how it turned out. And as I say, wouldn't touch them later. They would be whatever state they were in. And this one I can see I had drawn them, started them one direction and turned them in another direction. And a ballpoint pen is like a pencil because you make lines by pressure. You know, it's light by no pressure, less pressure, darker by more pressure. Um, this is David Murray, also one of the World Saxophone Quartet people, along with Oliver Lake. I don't know if that's Oliver Lake there, but it's not the World Saxophone Quartet. This was in a jazz loft. Um, Again, another saxophonist or saxophonist, barefoot, which kind of a theme here. I don't know why it's intriguing. I mean, you really talk about informal. That's informal, right? Just for, we're talking also the mid 70s. This is Anthony Braxton, still very much functioning now as a great thinking man saxophone player. You hear he's playing the clarinet. And this was at the 5 spot, which was a rebirth of the 5 spot around the corner from where it originally was near Cooper Union on the Bowery, but it's on 8th Street here. And I like this drawing as a sax performer because his primary instrument was the alto sax. He's a little bit more cerebral than I relate to as much, but definitely unique and personal in his own style of things. I do like this drawing though as a representation of someone at the